Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. Today's engraving is one of a sort of a smallish mammal, and it's called an aardvark. An interesting word, but it is an Afrikaans word. It's an Afrikaans name for an earth pig. There's a picture of an aardvark. I am engraving this for a client, and I'm going to be putting on this absolutely gorgeous lead crystal heavy whisky glass. And it's an interesting one because the client is also a beekeeper. He loves the African animals, but he's also a beekeeper, and so on every glass at the back on the other side, so the animal I'll put in the front, and then on the other side somewhere I'll put a little bee. An interesting combo, but everyone's so different, and I love the variety of commissions that I get, because I would never think of doing that. But of course this is so personal, and that's the main thing. All these jobs are personalized. And remember, personalized doesn't mean necessarily mean that it's got a great big name on it. No names involved here, just images and pieces of art that will last forever. Without further ado, let's get on with it. So I've got a little image inside the glass, which I've put in place with some white tack, and I'm simply tracing it straight on dry with a diamond. Now once again, of course, you are seeing it off center because I'm looking directly over the top of it, but you're seeing it from the side, so it's quite interesting for you to see, because you see the outline and you see what I'm drawing. I'm not drawing a solid outline, it's slightly feathery, and what I'm pointing out here is the shadow from the light, which is a little annoying. And so I had forgotten, quite frankly, that I often start at the bottom. So if you start at the bottom of the image, if you've got a light at the top where it should be, then starting at the bottom you won't get that shadow, which is just another line, and it could confuse things. So starting at the bottom, and as I said just now, the lines are not solid. I am making them a little bit textured because that is the edge of the animal image. It's slightly hairy, it's slightly wrinkly. It's a very, very interesting finish, actually. I'd love to do a large, really detailed engraving of the texture of the skin, because it's slightly wrinkly but also has these random sparse hairs floating about. So there's a bit of everything, and yet from a distance it just looks kind of smooth. Not smooth, but you know what I mean. Doesn't look like there's much to it. Anyway, using this sort of medium-sized little diamond, I'm just running around it dry. As you know, quite often I will use a half-tone stone rather, but I just picked up this diamond instead. Now, in my hands now I have the drill with a Dura white, and I'm just tracing the eye. So you can see the eye from the side because you're looking at off center, and you can see roughly what I'm doing. I'm using the Dura white. I'm going slightly deep. You don't want it very, very deep, but you do want it to look slightly rounded like an eyeball. Now it's slightly bigger than the eye itself, and so now I'm using a diamond, really small diamond, and I'm just doing that little outline that you see. It's got a nice light outline. So I've actually polished it out there with a rubber, so the inside of it is dark, and I'm just doing this little outline for the eyelids. You will see it a little bit better in a moment. There we go. Take the white tack off. Okay. It's not very clear, but you can see roughly. Now back to the tail and this rather smallish diamond burr, and with much more care and going a bit deeper and with water to lubricate, I'm going along the tail. So at this point I don't really want the tail to look streaky, but when I get to the main body parts, you will notice that I create the streaks, but this tail is quite smooth to look at. I've upped the size of the diamond burr now because I'm going into a larger area. So when you do create a bit of an outline, make sure that it's all blended in nicely. So you see me feeling it with my thumb a lot, and that is really to feel the depth. It's just a habit. Now I have progressed to a rather larger diamond burr, and I've sped up the video a lot more so that we can get through this. Large area. You can use an even larger diamond if you want. There's this sort of the large flame shape, put it on that side and fill in a large area, pretty rapidly. But I had this nearby and I'm quite happy with this. Thing is, with this burr I can create some nice chubby wrinkles that he or she has on the body. Now this limb is in the front, so I will be going very much deeper, especially on the edges, where the rest of the body will be not as deep because it's behind the leg. Now you'll notice the direction that I'm engraving, and this will be the direction of basically the wrinkles and the hair, and it just helps with the texture and effects in the end. And so it's just a useful thing to think about when you're filling in large areas, to go with the flow of whatever it is you're engraving. If it's got texture, don't just scribble around. Of course, if it is something that is very, very smooth, then you've got to tackle it a lot more delicately. I'm probably being a little bit bold with that large burr in such a small space on his face. Bold? No, lazy. Too lazy to get the smaller burr for that. I'll do that later. Now the back leg is further behind, so it needn't be as deep. So I'm engraving that shallow. And then I can, of course, darken it a bit later on. There are some big wrinkles going down in this direction. As you can see, I'm creating ridges for the wrinkly effect. So now this leg is in the front, so I'll be going much deeper again. Just to let you know a little tiny bit about this animal, it's mainly from Africa, and of course so am I, and I have obviously seen these lovely creatures, and they eat ants and termites, hence the long snout. They will have a fairly long tongue in order to grab those ants. And interestingly, the aardvark is not actually directly related to the anteater, which I was quite surprised to read, actually, because I thought they were, as most people do. And quite often they call the aardvark an anteater, but it's actually not at all. And there you are, some factoids. Now you'll notice that I haven't quite finished a couple of the feet, because they will be underneath the grass. Back to a smaller burr and just touching up the ears. Diamond, of course, still. sort of lumps and bumps here and there and the shape of the face, and it's quite easy to simply go deeper in those areas, and it is quite effective because the light will pick up the depths of the various shapes of the body parts. Enhancing the front leg, making sure that it's clearly deeper than the one behind. Now, here are 3 different methods of flattening the top of a Dura white. That was not a successful one, and neither is this. These are old stones. They're sharpening stones, cleaning stones, various names, but the best way to do it is to put a stone burr into the drill and simply run it over the top, because what I'm wanting to do is get a flat top so I can create a sharp hair effect, a dark hair. And as you can see, there's some little dots on the tail at the back to start off with, very subtle, very small. So I'll just add a few of those. You won't really be able to see them clearly. And then there's a darker area from about there upwards, where this burr very, very effectively creates dark hairs. And it's interesting, hairs, wrinkles. It's a combination, the stripes and the little streaks that I'll be using this burr for. You're just trying to get an overall effect, a visual. Bearing in mind, we are creating a very, very small, this is probably about 5 or 6 centimeters wide, image of a much, much larger animal. So we are very limited as to what we can show, and we do manage to show quite a lot. The other thing I should mention is you could go even bigger, but then with a very wide image like this, it ends up going around the glass and can look quite distorted. So I wanted the bulk of the figure to be still in the middle front so that it doesn't look like it's going around the glass. As you can see here, what I'm doing is not so much hair, but it's more of the wrinkly effect. It's a bit of everything. And you can see when you add the hair with the very same burr around the edge, it instantly becomes a light hair, whereas of course when you're engraving on the diamond it looks dark because it is much darker than the diamond. Well, what you're doing of course is slightly smoothing out the glass, which is letting the light pass through, and hence it looks darker. But when it's on the edge, those fluffy little bits are just a very gentle half tone, and so catching the light a little bit. It's all very intriguing. So anywhere I want to put some dark area or a half tone area, like the inside of the ears, for example, just use a Dura white and it instantly smooths out the diamond. This is a good one where I have just added the inside of the nose. That was quite effective. I'll just pop in some half-tone grass initially, and I'll add some more later. This is a rubber burr. It's not my favorite, I must admit. I've only got a couple of these, and I won't be buying any more of this particular burr. You can see that it wears down very fast. It's very sort of powdery, and it is not particularly effective. But it is polishing, just enough. You can see that it just takes the edge off some of the lightness to create some shadow. Pop a little sparkle in the eye, one very, very quick dot. A fraction of a second, and there it becomes alive. So of course this is a very, very sharp little rat's tail burr, which I put the dot, the little highlight in the eye. And I'm using this now to add the sparse hair. Little highlights on the wrinkles. So it's a bit of everything again, but this time we got highlight as opposed to the darker effect. Random sparse hair, making sure, as always, that they are going in the right direction. Always remember, it is effective to put hair on the edges of your little animals, but don't forget there's hair everywhere. So often engravers forget to add hair in the middle of the creature. Even if it's random, even if it's just sparse, just to show that there is hair all over it. This burr, of course, as you've seen me do many, many times, similar to the Dura White I was earlier on, flattening the top. When the diamond wears out on this, because there's diamond coating all the way down, then simply do exactly what I did. Put a stone burr in the drill and hold this to the stone burr, and that will flatten the top, and you will have some nice fresh diamond to play with. I'm just popping my signature and the date. A little premature because I haven't finished the grass yet. So this is very rough rubber that has given a solid bit of texture or hue on the glass, and now using the lighter burr, the diamond burr, adding sort of highlighted grass in the front. there you go. There's our Aardvark. Interesting looking characters. Thanks for watching, guys. Have fun with that. Cheers for now.